May I request Dr. R. Dalasekar Pandyan, our professor in Dr. Pratima Murthy, Dr. R. Ranganathan, Dr. Prabhas Chandra, Dr. B. S. Narendra, and Dr. R. Dalasekar Pandyan. It gives me an immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all on the occasion of Dr. R. Parthasarathy's first oration 2023. We at the Department of Psychiatric Social Work Enhance are always indebted to the senior professors and faculty members for their remarkable efforts and gathered here to reminisce about one such group contributors, late psychology, the name Parthasarathy is represented as one of the one who guides, believes in action, and to many of us, Professor Parthasarathy was one among such teachers who provided thought-provoking insights and ideas and guided the ways to attain a fulfilling life and career. He is greatly respected in the psychiatric social fraternity and by colleagues for simplicity, calmness, positive vibration, and for a benevolent gesture. In this direction and in this memorial, which is being observed today in the form of an oration, solely with the support and the department's planning and execution. Let us now begin the event with Nilla.
मध्ये भ्रमत्यसु मानस राजहंस ईशत्विका पंकजं पंकजं संयुतं जलस्य
Light the lamp to begin the program. couple of days ago, we celebrated social work, and we spoke about respecting diversity to join social action. So it's possible that within the week of celebrating the National Day of Social Work, that we are having this Dr. Parthasarathy oration. It has actually been very wonderful to see the kind of sentiment that I have actually witnessed since the oration was announced. There have been a lot of posts on Facebook, on other kinds of, which also tells me that our Department of Social Work is now very well engaged in having a lot of communication happening via social media. So that's particularly nice. So the of Dr. Radhakrishnan Parthasarathy that we all saw, Professor Prabhat Chandra would be introducing him in more detail as we go along. But I think one of the important things is the fully accepting person that he was. We heard a bunch of descriptions about Dr. Parthasarathy in terms of the simplicity, in terms of several consonants that describe him. But I think describe him very well. Accepting of everybody and everything. So calm in his demeanor. But it's okay, even in the worst of circumstances, things will go okay. Energetic. And I think that energy and enthusiasm is something that percolated in all his interactions with people and made him a very positive individual for people to interact with. To be in the same way, to work very hard, and despite so many challenges in his health, every time he would bounce back and be extremely hardworking. And optimist, he would always be able to see the brighter side of things and make sure that even when things were not really all positive, that he could see the brighter side of things. And the view is that he was extremely unassuming. I think that was one of his greatest qualities, that whatever his accomplishments were, he was extremely. And I think all these characteristics really speak very highly of the person that Dr. Parthasarathy was. So we're indeed delighted that in his memory, we're extremely thankful to the family of Dr. Parthasarathy for being here today and also instituting the oration in his honor. And I hope that
happening in the long run. I see Dr. Salvation in the audience. A very warm welcome to you, sir. There are several senior colleagues from the department. Not sure who else ought to be here. But Dr. Sandhu. Yes, madam, of course. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. There are people in the audience. I won't, take individual Department of Psychiatric Social Work for being here. And of course, we cannot forget our orator, Dr. Yanganathan, who will have a more formal introduction. But it's wonderful to have another senior faculty of the department being the first orator for Dr. Parthasarathy. I think this is the most befitting that can happen, because I think all the same vowels also have a lot of meaning as that applicable to him. So it's a matter of great privilege. And on behalf of the Institute, on behalf of all the faculty and the staff of the Department of Social Work, I hope this will be a wonderful celebration of life and professional contributions of Dr. Parthasarathy. And I'm sure he will know different professionally, and the testimony is that family members are here with us today, and I'm sure we'll be celebrating his contributions as well. So once again, a very warm welcome, and we look forward to this evening's oration. Thank you very much.
I see you to give an introduction.
It's indeed a privilege and a pleasure to introduce and talk about Professor Radhakrishnan Parthasarathy. And I'm so happy that his family members are here. Ashokan, Mr. Ashokan, Satya. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for giving this privilege to all of us. So, Professor Radhakrishnan Parthasarathy was born in a very well-educated, well-known, highly spiritual joint family at Arani in Tamil Nadu in 1950. And he was born in a large family of 10 siblings, I hear. And he then went on to do his master's in the prestigious PhD college in Coimbatore. And then, of course, we all know that he in psychiatric social work, which was what the MPhil degree was called those days. He topped his master's, he topped his MPhil, and was very well known for his scholarship. And I believe he was also known as the walking encyclopedia. He had all the facts and figures with him most of the time, and that kind of shows what kind of a person he was. While there is the academic CV and bio which was sent to me by the department, what I did was I thought it was very important for me to talk to people who had worked extremely closely with Professor Parthasarathy. So I spoke to Professor Mohan Isaac, to Professor R.S. Murthy, to Professor Ahalya Raghuram, and one of the students, Professor Jahanara. So I'm going to talk about it from their experiences, and most of them talked about Dr. Parthasarathy, the scholar. He said they all said he was well-read, well-informed, up-to-date with literature in his discipline and in mental health, and was known fondly as a walking encyclopedia, like I said before. One of the important things that all of them mentioned was that he was very generous with his ideas and knowledge, and would discuss thoughts, ideas, research, problems to be solved, ideas for papers, chapters with everybody without really wanting any credit for it. And that was his largest and large-heartedness. His far-sightedness was another thing that most of them mentioned. Dr. Mohan Isaac fondly remembered him as a very, very good and dear friend. And what we see of the district mental health program today, all of us read about it, know about it. He was one of the first people from psychiatric social work who actually started the district mental health program together with Professor Mohan Isaac, Professor Srinivas Murthy, Professor C.R. Chandrasekhar. Dr. Mohan Isaac remembers going to far off villages in dusty roads, in jeeps, in trucks, without really bothering about comfort. He was one of those who would go to the PHCs, go to the villages and talk to people about mental health and started the whole district mental health program. And the other person who was also in community mental health, and he too mentioned the amount of work that Professor Parthasarathy has done for the district mental health program. And we really, I think, should acknowledge his inputs into what is a very successful program today. The other thing that people spoke about was his involvement in school mental health. So little do we know that he, along with Dr. Mohan Isaac and Kishore, would go to all the schools in Anikal and in Sakarwara, talk to the middle school teachers, talk to the primary school teachers, and started the life skills program, which is now again something which NIMHANS is carrying out so much committed to school mental health. And Professor Mohan Isaac mentioned how, Professor Mohan Isaac would stand at the back, and Dr. Parthasarathy was the one who would talk to the principals and, teachers and get them to be very, very engaged in this whole program. So I think we really owe him that. Professor R.S. Murthy mentioned how he had organized a meeting of about 40 NGOs in staff in Chennai in 1988. And what was very interesting was that he laid out a 100-point action plan for mental health and how NGOs, social professionals can actually take it forward. And Professor Murthy, as always, has shared the 100-point action plan with me to be sent out to the social work department. So just shows the amount of farsightedness. It was almost like activism of a sort, trying to get the profession of social work right in the forefront. Dr. Kishore also mentioned his involvement in training of nurses, traditional healers, health workers, medical officers who still remember him very fondly. And the fact that he was a think tank for the district mental health program. Dr. Murthy called him a profound thinker and a practical activist. Dr. Ahalya Raghuram, who was from the Department of Psychology, knew him as far back as the late 1970s when she joined as a student. And I think one of the things that struck me, all of us have talked about his gentleness and support, but what she said, was that he was instrumental in guiding numerous trainees, particularly those from less privileged backgrounds, where they were from smaller towns, when NIMHANS was very overwhelming for them. He would make them feel very comfortable and give them that kind of, energy and enthusiasm and courage. So I think that's something really speaks about, again, those very important qualities which don't ever get mentioned in an academic CV. His most, one of his students who he guided to MPhil and PhD, Dr. Jahanara, particularly talks about him as being the greatest source of inspiration in her life, and that he led by example. And another important thing she mentioned was always encourage students from behind, encourage their creativity, and guided them and allowed them to be expressive. And was one of the wisest people he has known. Like the director mentioned, his most admirable qualities were that he was his simplicity, unassuming, easily approachable, promoted inquiry and curiosity among students, and had a great sense of humor. Everybody talks about his smiling face and humor, and that picture that you saw actually shows that. He was happy-go-lucky, not judgmental, and treated everyone as equal, and so was close to everybody. Everybody thought of him as their special friend, and that's a unique quality that some people have. I think another important thing that people mentioned was that his ability to resolve conflicts between members in the team, and that every member who worked with them then learned he had a lot more to offer the department and the institute. And the last thing I want to mention is Dr. Kishore said that he was a Ajata Shakti, basically somebody who had absolutely no enemies. And I think that is probably the biggest compliment that a colleague and a student can give him. On this day when we are, remembering him and his oration, I think, it couldn't be somebody better. I think the Department of Psychiatric Social Work should be complimented in celebrating his life, which we hope will happen every 2 years. Is that right? Yes. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity to talk about Professor Parthasarathy. I learned many things about him which I didn't know, and I consider it my great privilege. Thank you. Thank you, Madam, for giving an overview of Parthasarathy's professional and personal journey from Tara Institute. Now, let us watch an audio visual of
Thank you, Dr. Dean. I have questions. May I now invite the delegate and the president of the department to introduce the oration.
Good afternoon. Department of Psychiatric Social Work. This is Director Dr. Murthy, our beloved Professor Prabha Chandra of Behavioral Sciences, and our Senior Professor of Psychiatry, Dr. B.S. Shankar Narayan Rao, our beloved Registrar, and the Professor in Head of the Department of Neurophysiology, and all the Board of Management members for permitting the department and initiating this oration in the name of our beloved Professor Dr. Parthasarathy of Psychiatric Social Work. For not only for the support we are extending to the entire discipline of psychiatric social work, particularly with the crisis hours of this NEP. We are all deeply committed for the welfare of the discipline and guiding not only the Department of Psychiatric Social Work at NIMANS, the entire and all our allied research discipline. On behalf of the entire department, we are extremely grateful to all the invitees, very especially we have Dr. Sabeshan, who was a batchmate of Dr. Ramanathan and Parthasarathy, all the way from Madrid, along with his extremely busy practice. And we are grateful to all the members. There are many senior members from, in fact, our Professor Yusuf, Dr. D. Murthy, Madam Shalini Chetty, Dr. Chandramukh Rajangar, the family members of Dr. R. Parthasarathy, and all my colleagues, my senior colleagues, and all the faculty members, all the psychiatric social workers, all the PhD scholars, and our beloved NT scholars, and the entire PhD family. We are extremely grateful to our family and the PhD family on this great occasion of this our Professor Parthasarathy Oration. I have the privilege today to introduce my own mentor, my guide, Nathan, has kindly accepted our invitation to deliver the first oration of Professor R. Parthasarathy. In fact, when we got approval from the Board of Management, when I informed the department that you can go ahead with this oration, department had a meeting. It was Professor A. Tirumurthy, our Professor of Psychiatric Social Work, proposed the name of Dr. M. Ramanathan for this first oration. The department unanimously, all the faculty members unanimously agreed that we must go ahead. I am extremely grateful for his decision and for all the faculty members of my department for supporting all the good activities of the department. the department is working for achieving many professional development and career development, particularly in the field of psychiatric social work. We have initiated many services. Notably, some of them are the Psychiatric Social Work Guide, developed the PSW newsletter. We have organized many world level, world class social work relationships with many professions and collaboration with many national and international organizations. We have also taken up a role of the leadership role in guiding the eight departments of not only the departments of psychiatric social work, also many departments of social work in the country. And we are very, very proud that we are the largest and oldest department of psychiatric social work in the world. And we have a bigger commitment for our highest quality of service delivery to our clients, their family members, and various other stakeholders, particularly in the field of mental health and neurosciences. And we are extremely grateful to all our members who are directly and indirectly supporting the cause for the welfare of people with psychiatric and other disabilities. So, in this occasion, the department unanimously decided the first oration should occur in the field of a person who has done an enormous amount of work, particularly in the field of psychiatric rehabilitation. And with the decision of the entire department, the department unanimously decided that Dr. Ranganathan will be the first oration of Dr. Parthasarathy. Dr. Ranganathan is always known in the department like the Ram Lakshman of the department. There are many people always found them together. Dr. is a well-known name department all over the country and all over the world in the field of psychiatric social. In an agriculturist family in a village in Salem district of Tamil Nadu. Dr. Ranganathan's education started in his own village where he completed his primary and secondary schooling and moved to PhD College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, where he pursued his Bachelor of Arts and Master of Social Work, specializing in medical and psychiatric social work. Dr. Parthasarathy also completed his MA in social work from the PhD College of Arts and Science at Coimbatore. Dr. Ranganathan, he completed his MA in 1967 and started of child health Chennai immediately after the completion of the course as a psychiatric social worker in the year where he had the opportunity to meet Dr. M. Sarada Menon, the first woman psychiatrist. She got Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan and many other awards, the founder of SCARF. She was was a consultant at the Institute of Child Health at Chennai, and Madam, in fact, advised Professor Ranganathan to apply for a psychiatric social worker at the Institute of Mental Health in Park. In the same year, Dr. Ranganathan has applied and he got the employment opportunity social worker with grade 1 at the Field Park Mental Hospital at Chennai. Professor Ranganathan, he started serving at the Institute of Mental Health Field Park as a psychiatric social worker from the year 1967 and he worked till 1976 in the same institution. And during the period, he came to Bhutan in 1976 on the station to pursue his diploma in psychiatric social work called DPSW. That only later became the MPhil psychiatric social work. After the successful completion of the DPSW, again he went back and he was serving at the Institute of Mental Health Park. And in a short span of time, he joined as a psychiatric social worker at Bhutan in 1978. And very fortunately, both Dr. Ranganathan and Dr. Parthasarathy they got the opportunity to serve in the department in the same time in 1970. And after the appointment, Dr. M. Raghunathan was posted in the Department of Psychiatric and Neurological Rehabilitation Services of Enhance in 1978. He served in the state for till 2003, where he superannuated. Dr. M. Raghunathan, during the period, he got his PhD under the guidance of our former director, Dr. G.N. Narayan Reddy, and Professor I.A. Sharif, our professor and head of the Department of Psychiatric Social Work, who served as secretary for 18 years in the Enhance. Dr. Raghunathan consistently he had the interest of psychosocial rehabilitation services, and he conducted many workshops and seminars across the country and shared his valuable experiences at various national and international conferences on psychiatric rehabilitation. For his outstanding services in the field of psychiatric social work in general and particularly in the area of psychiatric rehabilitation services, he has received various awards, very highly award, Indian Psychiatric Society Award, Niman's Service Award, Distinguished Service Award for promoting self-help movement through Family Fellowship Society by the Indian Psychiatric Society Karnataka Chapter, Dharwad in 2010, M.S. Chelamuthu Trust and Research Foundation Award for his significant contribution in psychosocial rehabilitation in 2010, Tadabam's Distinguished Mental Health Professional Award in the year 2011, in recognition of his outstanding services in the field of psychiatric rehabilitation, World Association of Psychiatric Rehabilitation Indian Chapter Award in 2016, and John Bosco Institute for Psychological Service Award for Excellence in Mental Health Service in Chennai in 2000. Also received many other awards, and because of the time I'm unable to cover. He also has published a number of articles in the leading professional journals and also in many newspapers in the country. He also contributed many chapters in books and published to various organizations, including the Tata Institute of Social Sciences Journal, Mumbai. He has guided many research scholars for their Doctor of Philosophy and Master of Philosophy in Psychiatric Social Work, and I have the honor to be the first PhD candidate of Professor M. Raghunathan. Professor M. Raghunathan served in the many professional social work associations. He was the Honorary General Secretary of Indian Society of Professional Social Work, and he also served as an editor in the Nation of Professional Social Work. He served as a Vice President of ISKCU. He served as an Associate Vice President for the World Association for Psychiatric Rehabilitation, and also he served for an editor in the newsletter of WADR. He also served as a fellow in Indian Society. He was served as a chairman of the Rehabilitation Committee of the popular Richmond Fellowship Society of India. The founder and the president of the Family Fellowship Society for Psychosocial Rehabilitation Services. That was a kind of a cooperative movement by the family members of persons with psychiatric disability, organized them together, and he working continuously for the welfare of the clients and their family members. He is also actively involved in various leading professional associations related to social work and rehabilitation in the country and at the world. Today, we have the honor to have the first oration from our Professor M. Raghunathan. In this occasion, I have the honor to welcome Dr. M. Raghunathan to deliver oration of the Thank you very much. Dr. Dr. Parthasarathy, family members of Dr. Parthasarathy, their governor, Mrs. Sarthi, Murli, Sangamitra, Shalini Shetty was known as the radical social worker of the batch. I'm given the assignment of presenting the oration of what already completed 50% of my. Thank you, Dr. for that. But with me, I would like to make it extensive and make it at the earliest. Probably the director has fixed the meeting at 3 o'clock, usually at 3:30 generally. Since it is fixed at 3, she may like to have another appointment, but it's already 3:45. I may be given marginal time, little extra time. When given this assignment to present the oration, after listening to Professor Satish Chandra's 50 minutes oration on the 4 decades of his journey on hot water epilepsy, which was initiated by then the former director P.S. Mani. After I spoke to Dr. Sabesan, I told Dr. Sabesan, I am given the assignment to talk about Dr. Parthasarathy. Will you share with me the Parthasarathy? The response was, oh, you need too much time to understand him and to prepare a critical review of him. I developed mental constipation. But here is the Good Samaritan Dr. Sino, additional professor in psychiatric social work. With his untiring labor over a period of 10 days, he etc., etc. I am told it will be released one more book, the publication of all his Parthasarathy's work. I need the Prabhat Chandra has already given a brief note about his family. One of the information that probably missed is his schooling. There was a family school in Madurai city, Setupati High School. In Setupati High School, uh, the freedom fighter, national poet Subramanya Bharati was a teacher for a good number of. The credit goes to the school. When he learns that Parthasarathy was one of the students, probably he enlightened the reputation of the school further. Information Prabha could collect maybe. He was a science student. He did his BSc chemistry. Subsequently, he was unable to take up the ancillary subject in the chemistry that made him to EPSW program at UMass. He was a university holder of Madras University for his excelling academic performance in his MA social work. And during his BPSW program, he was awarded Dr. M.V. Govinsamy Gold Medal for having scored highest marks. His professional journey started in 1978. Luckily, I was his student. Posting was in child guidance clinic. He was associating with Dr. Ilana Karika, then the professor of child and adolescent psychiatry. Then further posting would be primarily in community mental health. What had happened during this October posting, Dr. Prabha has already briefed you. His involvement in the training of uh, professionals, non-professionals, and then what he was primarily to develop capacity building, to disseminate the mental health message as well as to provide therapeutic services. If I am to mention as his contribution, there are three programs I could bring it to your attention. Number one, the school enrichment program. One, life skills education. When I was listening to Sarathy's assistance to her to prepare a scale construction on the education, she was to say that Parthasarathy was considered as a father of life skills education. It's much prior to, this has happened much prior to WHO has come out with in the year 1999 to propagate this concept, life skills education, all over the world, especially for the benefit of developing countries. In the context of student enrichment program, Dr. C.R. Chandrasekhar shared with me the higher secondary school headmaster of Trigini contacted the community mental health units with a request for 9th and 10th standard students. They couldn't perform well in mathematics and English language. Will you kindly help our students to get improved in this, especially in these two subjects? Here is our Parthasarathy, great scholar, volunteer too, because in both the subjects he was good at, both in mathematics and English language. Gone for 12 to 18 months, when at the time of the final examination on these two subjects, they could excel with the highest scoring marks and passed. This probably went on for maybe for a brief period of time. In our institute, probably during my days, all the funded projects were taken up with so much of enthusiasm and commitment to work for the prescribed period of 3 years, 5 years, like training of the trainers. That would be the end of it once the fund is withdrawn. Subsequently, it is not carried over as an ongoing project. Probably under our present director's leadership, there are programs like that of telemedicine and telemanas. These are all programs would have taken up as an ongoing program, continue to provide services in the field of mental health and neurosciences to reach them and reached throughout the country. His PhD, since he was indulging in life skills education and school enrichment program, the knowledge and the skill that he has earned and being carried the program that was on psychosocial correlates of low and high achievers at school. None other than Parthasarathy would talk about this subject because he has been on this issue over a period of maybe 10 years during his mental health. Dr. Prabha already has mentioned that his involvement in training of various personnel from different sectors. Again, all right, next. Oh, this is quite interesting. Dr. Parthasarathy is a man of practicing what he has been preaching, what he was preaching. Uh, he was considered to be a great scholar. He was considered to be a spiritual person. He was considered to be a great writer. He was considered to be a human being. Task. You cannot prescribe the characteristics of a human being. Who would be a human being? There is no law written down on, but he is a gentleman. Through his life, as broadcasting the message in a humble way through the immediate circle, the students, the outer circle administration of our institute. During his work in this institute, he worked under 6 directors, barring our current director. During these phases of his tenure, he commanded respect. He commanded respect through his contribution. Above all, his spiritual style of functioning. Probably I might have repeated the spirituality, the spiritual being more than adequate number of times. This is filled in my mind whenever I am thinking of this great scholar. I mentioned that our Parthasarathy has been practicing social work principles. Many a time we don't say that I'm following the principles of psychology. We don't say that we are following the principles of neurology when a professor is attached to. Here is a gentleman so overwhelmed, got imbibed the values of the social work profession. And to read out the definition of the social work as is prepared by International Federation of Social Work for the benefit of non-social work professionals. I could see most of them are students. Social work is a practice-based profession and an academic discipline that promotes social change and development, social cohesion, and the empowerment and liberation of people. Principles of social justice, human rights, collective responsibility for diversity are central to social work, underpinned by theories of social work, social sciences, humanities, and indigenous knowledges, lectures to address life changes, life challenges, and enhance well-being. Probably those who have been accustomed to work with him, uh, 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 child guidance clinic and community mental hosting. Here is the Professor of Parthasarathy. I don't want to repeat the definition again. The well, see, got involved to the extent of inducting, promoting in all these activities. This is where during his, it is said during his community posting, especially during the Bellary district mental health project posting, he was to demonstrate the role of psychiatric social workers organizing this social, how to promote social justice, how to preserve the human rights, how to help the help the beneficiaries get empowered to demand the rights for the treatment, rehabilitation, etc. Parthasarathy's major contribution, I already mentioned, family mental health, parenting skills, training, family life. Come across an article published by Dr. Aravind Parthasarathy and another person. He has given the guidelines on how to prepare the families right from the beginning of conceptual understanding the very different names of mental illness, mental disability, and so on, so forth, and how the disease process getting manifested into a patient's biological system, how it is dragged on to into the chronic phases of illness. What a Herculean task of striving to make into getting into the main arena for livelihood and to enhance the quality of life. These are all the great endeavor. It is the Professor Parthasarathy. This is what Dr. Sabesan was telling me during the, he was to say, here is a gentleman, while you are conceptualizing any assignment that is given, he is getting a type of meditation. However, it is briefly. This is what also quoted by Aristotle. Whenever he was on the search of a solution for a problem, he used to close his eyes to getting into the silence. That intuition would make him to come out with like a blossom flower, to venturing into action to initiate a principle or a program for the betterment of the community. When I was listening to Dr. Tirumurthy, Dr. Tirumurthy, please tell me your reminiscence of Parthasarathy. He was to say he was a man filled with the principles of altruism. What is the meaning of the word altruism? A selfless concern for the others' needs and well-being. Matter either it is in the context of teaching with the the students, or working with the colleagues, or looking forward the administration to on a project proposal or getting into a project. Here is the gentleman appearing, emerging with selfless state of mind, with the confidence that he shall be good. I must mention, because it's a skill in writing and it's a scholarly way of perceiving, comprehending the problem situations, he was given the responsibility to okay, of National Social Work Journal. He was also board of member of Nimas Journal. He used to write editorial issue, and he was also the editor of Community Mental Health newsletter. I have to give you two important meetings with celebrities. I was also with him while he was meeting. First meeting was Field Marshal was the first commander in chief of independent India, the office in the year 1949. Next was we heard that General Karipa was in command hospital at the end phase of his lifespan because inspired by his value and patriotism. The first commander contacted command hospital. We are from Nimas. We would like to meet the general. They were hesitant to what was the contact with the Tom asking questions. The answer, it's a courtesy call for a great champion of the World War II. They permitted us with him during that time. The national policy was introduced 1982. The press carried the 4-column messages with the details from Professor Aurang Reddy, then the director, Professor Aurel Kapoor, Professor Srinivasamurthy. He listened to us about the Nimas program and particularly about the national program that was launched. Parthasarathy was the one to be detailed about. General was very much impressed. During the conversation, General was intermittently looking at Parthasarathy. I was a little apprehensive why he was looking at him. There ended something is going wrong. Then he offered us coffee. Then at the end, when we had to take leave of him, he raised his voice looking at Parthasarathy. I don't like youngsters to adopt the hippie style of function. Why he addressed this, why he remembered hippie style was Parthasarathy having a long hair. I don't know if it was shown in the Parthasarathy was having a long hair like that of Kamala Hassan of the South Indian film actor. Statement. Okay. Then then at the end, when he stood up, he asked us to repeat along with him, Jai Hind. That is the man of stature. That is the man respects the nation, respect the son of the patriotism. That after we came out of the hospital, I asked Parthasarathy, or he disturbed, what was the message you have been carrying? He said, I understand now. If I go in this uh, costume, in this fashion, it may create a ripple in the minds of the clients, family members, community organizations, and so on. Then subsequently, he changed the hairstyle like that of an army recruit. That was not well received in our campus. Then he has gone back to the same style. The next visit, was our Chief Justice, retired Chief Justice, Mr. Venkatachalaya. The context was, as I mentioned, the Parthasarathy was always following the principles of social work. Social justice, one of the principles of social work. In one of the rehabilitation centers, service for female residents, the ruling party MLA removed the female patient in the evening without informing the agency. We nominated by the government of Karnataka of that NGO. Even after 2 weeks of interval, there was no action against them. They couldn't find out the whereabouts of the female inmate. Then Parthasarathy kept on insisting, Ranganaran, you must do something. What's the use of being a member of the board of visitors? Then I told the Parthasarathy was closer to Nimans. because during this time, when he was the Commissioner of Human Rights of the retirement, he took the initiative to appoint a one-man commission to visit all the 36 mental hospitals to find out the anomalies and to come out with a reformative recommendation. Then Parthasarathy agreed upon, we went to his residence, of course with a permission, Basavanagudi. This gentleman believed he was living in the first floor. He came down to the main entrance. This took us to the first floor. We briefed him, sir, this is what happened. We are in a dismay. We want to help this family and the agency. Then to us. He immediately called the local, Mr. Shetty. Mr. Shetty, this is the issue. Uh, When he spoke to him, he informed me, oh, no problem, it should be done, and so on. Then the Chief Justice started talking about his experience in mystic experience while he was writing the judgment, while he was leaving the Supreme Court hall, mystic experiences. Then our Parthasarathy is a spiritual man already. We could talk all about. He started with a statement, one can be a spiritual person without indulging religious rituals and dogmas. It went on for 30 minutes. I thought the Chief Justice may forget our request. We started listening to. He was very much impressed the way Dr. Parthasarathy given a detailed description with the critical analysis subsequent to this subject. He started talking about the human rights violation in general, and particularly in the context of inmates of mental hospital. Of course, we are all aware, our director in the edited book on human rights in mental health, edited by then the director. That his so this meeting and the meeting with the General Tarifa, I learned something about this great scholar's personality. He could feel comfortable. All the spiritual persons in general, if you have had the experience, they are very comfortable within the self. They keep aside the self and uh, they are presenting as a soul being listened to and another soul. In the same context of ego, keeping aside ego, Parthasarathy and Dr. Sabhesan used to talk about Dr. Surya's contribution. Surya's writing about the three states of the ego. One is related to self, the other one is the family, the community, and the nation as whole. In some context, the ego representing the sect or nation, etc., that it is believed that may promote ethnocentrism. They used to talk at length. Parthasarathy and hostlers, they had a quality time to interact. They used to walk in those years, 1976, 77, no frequent bus. They walked from our hostel to Majestic, all the way talking about every subject that is on the earth. Then, here again this morning when I was listening to Dr. Sabhesan, he was to say the type of inquisitive questions Parthasarathy used to ask him, he couldn't answer. Especially the left brain and the right brain, its function, and so on. One particular question Parthasarathy asked, he could answer, that gave him a new perception about the structure and functions of the brain system. He said, Parthasarathy would have been a neurologist. Parthasarathy would have been a scientist of higher order. But It is not at all a matter for Parthasarathy, whether it's a science or the other subjects the other way. I'm going to give this brief self-disclosure type of content that selected material from an interview with his own students. He is fond of advising to read a book. He used to comfort every student and colleague to read The Mind That Found Itself. Some of you might have turned the pages. It's a very heavy subject to comprehend. Then there is another illustration always he used to give to the students. Our former president, Dr. Radhakrishnan, when he was in service, then the president of the United States, Mr. John F. Kennedy, invited him as a great scholar from the democratic country. On the day of a reception, somewhere closer to New York City, when the aircraft touched the reception area closer to the airport, the torrential rain smashed the reception. John F. Kennedy is seemingly disturbed. In quote, Mr. President, I'm sorry, the reception is disturbed, etc., etc. Our scholar, the great philosopher, Dr. Radhakrishnan, he said, in quote, Mr. President, we cannot conquer the nature. We have to learn to live with. That was a reply from our great Vice President then. Our scholar, Dr. Parthasarathy, invariably mentioned about this episode, what had happened 30 years ago. The context being always, whenever the students come out to him as a clinical supervisor, sir, I spent 10 session, I couldn't bring forth changes in him. I'm unable to getting into the process of making the time to understand. There he used to say, when you sow a seed today, one has to wait for third day to find the sapling to come out of the mud. When the sun rises in the morning, you dare to set the sun setting by 12 noon by giving small anecdotes. The other characteristic of Parthasarathy is he has got anecdotes in umpteen numbers in his fingertips. This instance, what had happened many years ago. I had come to a rescue to tell the students, don't ever expedite the process of therapeutic outcome in no time. You have to wait. Don't equate every client equal to. Oh yes, I received a note to conclude at the end. I'm to conclude to read out just few seconds. The director, give me just 3 minutes. I read out as is spoken by Dr. Parthasarathy in one of the interviews. Here I conclude my oration, present of my oration. Uh, as spoken by Dr. Parthasarathy, my entry into MSW program is not planned one. It is accidental. After entering into MSW, I got motivated or inspired to get involved in social work activities. In a way, my social work entry is serendipity to the realization of great potentials of social work in my life. As a student of science, I should have opted for post-graduation in science subject, as my ancillary subjects were not available in the post-graduation. I was forced to try other areas, one of which is social work. Because of family support and influence, I could get a seat in MSW program in the last minute. Subsequently, my exposure to various theoretical approaches, activities, and research aspects made me get involved in the profession intensively. My special areas of interest are student mental health, community-based mental programs, and research activities related to social work. Currently, I am involved with marital and family therapy services and training the professionals, family therapy and training of the professionals, paraprofessionals and non-professionals in mental health, in general and psychiatric social work in particular. Social has given me enough and more satisfaction in my life. I attribute my 3 A's of happiness, which are acceptance, achievement, and affection, to my social work affiliation. I learned about life and myself a lot from social work activities. I am aware of the problems and obstacles faced by the profession in our country. In my own way, I take some small steps along with my colleagues to sort out this problem. As far as my achievements are concerned, I am quite satisfied, which I could accomplish so far. I am becoming less selfish and and more other-centered, more empathetic, better understanding, more introspective, moving towards spirituality, accepting the events as they are, trying to practice what we preach, passionate, more oriented, increase the urge to help others, or some of the changes due to my involvement in social work. In my opinion, I would not have got these qualities and the state of mind had I chosen other professions in my life. For all this, I'm ever grateful to social work. Then the message to the students as well as colleagues: be a nice human being. That is the first step towards helping others. Believe in the principles and practice of social work. Improve your personal skills and professional skills constantly and continuously to make your quality of service. Be happy with social work opportunities and don't ever give undue importance to yourself. Social work has bright future in India and elsewhere. Let us adequately prepare ourselves for future tasks and responsibilities. With this briefing of Parthasarathy's own statement, I am to stop here. I thank our director, registrar, and the dean and my department for having given this opportunity. And I appreciate the assistance given by Dr. Eno, additional professor. He has been with me for the last 5 years. I must also thank Dr. Ayeshwari, our former teacher. When he was, I stopped there by sharing what Professor Sharif said. Professor Parthasarathy will be remembered forever as a deity well enshrined in the discipline of psychiatric social work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for taking us through the professional excellence and personal life stories as a friend, well-wisher, colleague of your dear Mr. Teacher Parthasarathy, as you fondly called him. Thank you so much, sir. Now, Parthasarathy, I am now accomplished by Dr. E. Sinu and team of members along with me. May I request the dignitaries to release the book? We have a felicitation for the orator. May I request Dr. Ranganathan to us to receive the felicitation on our behalf. Thank you. We have reached to the end of the program. May I support of this?
For you guys, considering the contribution of Professor R. Parthasarathy for over 4 decades to NIMHANS, as an academician, as a teacher, as a mentor, he guided, mentored several generations of social workers, specifically the psychiatric social workers. The psychiatric social work are the social work services of this country at a greater. On behalf of NIMHANS, we take this opportunity to thank family of Professor R. Parthasarathy for their generous contribution to the institution of the oration, and also best outgoing students awards. So that will be in the next. Importantly, learned a lot from our teachers. Dr. R. Parthasarathy is a great teacher and contribution for the growth of the institute, specifically the psychiatric social work is always appreciated. The first oration today was delivered by Dr. Nathan. He was a colleague of Professor Parthasarathy, was largely working in the community psychiatry, large number of students and also guiding and taking care of the patients. Was working onto the psychosocial for almost 4 decades. I am very thankful for accepting our invitation and also delivering the first oration. Thanks to our director, Professor Prathmamurthy, for guiding and facilitating various academic activities, including the Professor Prabhachandra, Dean of Behavioral Sciences, for facilitating the entire process. And most importantly, we have our very senior colleagues, and they are the alumni, and they participated in this program and they blessed us for this oration and also their support and their mentorship at various levels is always appreciated, and we are witnessing several of our senior colleagues here. On behalf of each one of you, I take this opportunity to thank you. And most importantly, the contribution of social work and the service offer are going to take a backbench after the super area to cut off these orations and the academic programs that will always guide the junior colleagues to change their perspective and try to see that how much they could contribute to the profession. As administration, I take this opportunity for all the students and other colleagues of the department, HODs, faculty, and the students part in this program. On behalf of the institute, once again, I thank each one of you. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Please wait until